we seem to be having a lot of these get-togethers here during the offseason with press conferences, Billy, and this one is pretty large. You made sweeping changes with this franchise over a 2-year span, and this one was a major statement to the rest of the league that this team is serious about competing for a championship. When did you feel as if this deal could happen, and the adrenaline I'm sure that you felt in and around draft day? Just try to describe to us how you were dealing with those emotions and knowing that this franchise was taking a major step forward.
It started, Danny and I started talking back, and then Bobby Marks and their assistant Jim, they were talking back, and we really focused on Paul Pierce. And I think we got close on a deal with Paul, and we were pretty much, okay, we'll do this. So then I said, what about Garnett? And Danny says, no, I don't think there's anything on your roster that can do it. So I started throwing things at him. He goes, no, and I kept adding and kept adding. And then I guess it was draft day, the night before the draft, I pretty much knew, okay, there's a deal there. Now we got to decide, do we want to do this? And spoke with ownership, and we agreed, and I called Danny and said, we're in. And he said, okay, let me talk to his owner. He said, we're in. Now you got to talk to Kevin. And then that became draft night, and that's when I put Jason and Darren on the task and said, now it's your job. And they started texting back and forth, and I was on the phone with his management. And so the first part of the draft really wasn't involved in, because we were really trying to get Kevin on board. And I guess we found out that Kevin was on board about maybe about 4 or 5 picks before we selected that we had Kevin.
Bill, when you think back about this whole trade, the one thing that I think goes through everybody's mind is you have Terry, Pierce, and Garnett, who've been in the league a long period of time. Did age factor into your thinking in terms of, are these guys too old? Because personally, they don't come across as being real old the way they play to me. What were your thoughts when you were thinking that one through?
Well, you look at it. You look at the minutes they played. More than the age, look at the minutes. And Paul has played a lot of minutes, and Kevin. Actually, Paul's played more minutes than Kevin. Yeah. And but then you look at the bench, and you look at it and say, okay, we don't need these guys to play as many minutes. And so that was the key part in re-signing Andre Blatch, because now he can give Kevin blow, having Mirza Televic, having Reggie Evans. So now we're not asking Kevin Garnett to do as much. We're not asking Paul Pierce as much, especially getting Andre Kirilenko. Now it relieves him some, and I think Jason's going to use Joe Johnson some at the 3. So it was more or less adding these guys, and the goal is to get them to the playoffs where they're rested and ready to go.
Nothing's easy in this league. We know that in all the positions that are out there. Jason Kidd taking on this challenge, having the experience that he had prior to this trade, and now with the experience, does it make his life a little easier, do you think, from the standpoint of what you just talked about, of having the depth? Well, I talked to him at Summer League, and we kept getting our heads beat in. I said, fortunately, you have a better roster when we start regular season. I said, so don't get discouraged. You have a little bit better roster. When you draw plays up, some of the guys will be able to make shots. And but I think it was great for him, learning experience. It is the great thing for him is to have this roster for him to build. I said, I tried to make this job as easy as possible for you by putting the talent together. But the greatest thing is his relationship with Jason Terry, with Kevin Garnett, with Paul Pierce. Just listen to them and they're talking about it. And then Kevin said, all right, Coach, what are we going to do? And they just start talking about ways. And then Kevin started giving some of his experience in Boston. But Lawrence Frank also helps, because Lawrence Frank coached in Boston, so he has a relationship with those guys. So he knows the buttons to push. So, and Jason has talked to Doc Rivers. So I think for him, he's been a student of the game, and he's been studying it and talking to people, and this just makes it even more exciting for him. There's no introduction period here, it doesn't seem like.
No, not at all. I mean, the first preseason game that we play, it'll be all eyes are going to be on him, and even at Summer League, all eyes are on Jason. Like, does he have the clipboard? Does Lawrence have the clipboard? So it. But the great thing about it is, he wants that. He's been in high pressure situations. So for him, this is not going to be. It's going to be a challenge because it's something new. But I think his instincts will take over, and that's what we really need, his instincts.
Focal point today has been on Garnett, Pierce, and Terry. Obviously, their presence at the press conference. Andre Kirilenko is not here yet. Very important piece, and I think you shocked a lot of people around the league when this deal got done. Kirilenko opts out of the deal with Minnesota, ends up signing for less money here with the possibility of winning a championship. Prior relationship, of course, with Darren Williams, Mikhail Prokhorov as well. So again, now relationships play a big part in making this deal. Give us the mindset that you had adding Kirilenko and where he fits in to this puzzle.
Well, it started with reach out Kyle Korver, and we thought we had a chance, and his number went higher. So then we went to Bogdanovich, and we had a deal. He was hoping to lower his buyout, and once he couldn't lower his buyout, we moved on to another player. I won't name his name. He hasn't signed yet. And we were close to working it, but I said, let me make one call. Let me just check and see if, AK, and the first call was no. And so I said, well, ask him. I said, because if the market was drying up, I was seeing people were spending money, there wasn't as much cash flows out there. I said, I would hate for him to sign somewhere else for the tax permit level and not be able to play for his, his countrymen and Michael. And so they asked, and we kept talking, and they looked at it, and they started looking at the market, and it worked.
Billy, congratulations. Do we have another press conference soon that we need to know about? Or?
I think so. I think the next one will be September 30th. I think that's Media Day.
Media Day. All right. You just heard it. Here, just broke that story. Billy, congrats.
September 30th. I was looking at Media Day.
All right.
We'll see you then.